Welcome back to the CSS Halftime Studios. I'm Zaid Hakeem. We'll get you back to your game in just a moment. Next Friday night, you'll get a chance to see one of the best teams in the state of Georgia when the Bulldogs of North Gwinnett host the Collins Hill Eagles. Now, North Gwinnett has a host of top prospects on the field, one of which is four-star defensive standout Dante Sawyer. At 6'3", 245 pounds, Dante Sawyer is one of the best outside linebacker, weak side defensive end prospects in the country. But it's not just his size and his physical prowess that makes this kid so special.
No, I've had a lot of big guys that was just kind of straight ahead, didn't really understand the nuances of the game. Dante is a step ahead of the curve. He's like a coach on the field, or he's like a guy that really takes his trade and really has refined it.
Yeah, from watching film, I just look at the tendencies. I study film like almost 9 hours a day probably, and I actually know what's coming up before the other team even knows. So you'll see me sometimes jump the snap or get ahead of them. They won't even know.
What we do know is that this guy is in the process of choosing between some of the SEC's elite as to where he will continue his craft on the field and his education in the classroom. But what will ultimately lead him to make that decision?
I definitely want to look at the academics. I'm going to study in business management, and just how I feel when what the coach is talking about and how I feel about it.
Whichever school he chooses, they're going to get a good one.
Well, they're getting a high energy guy that's going to bring it out there. I mean, and he's a difference maker. He's a big play in a critical time kind of guy. There's been so many times with us that he has stepped up and just created havoc, caused turnovers, intercepted screens, whatever, in the most crucial times for us.
Now, Dante says he's going to make his decision sometime before signing day. Stay tuned to In the Huddle for what his decision is going to be. As you can see, a list of the prospects that North Gwinnett has. Nate Brown, who's a Missouri commit. Mitch Hyatt is the #1 prospect in the class of 2015. He's selecting between Auburn, Clemson, UGA, amongst others. He's a 6'5", 270, 280 pound. Just big physical guy who's going to make a name for himself. Collins Hill, they've got a couple of guys on their team who are going to make some noise for himself. Christian Harris is a Duke commit. Tyler Henderson is a pretty good athlete. He's choosing between Duke and the Air Force. And they've got a defensive tackle, Christopher Palmer, who's choosing between Arkansas and LSU. Some of those guys are 3 stars, 2 stars to be looked at in the future to see exactly what kind of talent they have. Friday at 7:30 is the game time. Collins Hill at undefeated North Gwinnett right here on CSS.